What's up, everyone on YouTube? I hope y'all are doing well today. I'm Larry the Batman fan, so I have another challenge for Anthony Chobot. Another gaming challenge. This is on the top 20 best PS2 games. Remember, it's a top 20 best PS2 games list. It has to be at least 20 games on the PS2 list. Please do not duplicate any of the games. Remember to write it down if you're having trouble remembering the list. Because I know sometimes I have trouble learning things. I have learning disabilities. It's nothing I can help. Really, it isn't. But, yeah, if you have any trouble, make sure to write it down before you record the video. Just saying. Not trying to criticize you, Anthony. I'm just saying. It would help you out so you don't screw up your count or add the same game on the list twice. You can't duplicate the list, please. So, today it's on the PS2. All the PS2 games that I think are worth owning. I mean, for a top 20 list. There are two games I do have. Sly Cooper. I gave that extra copy to Jackal Goldkick, so I currently don't have the first Sly Cooper game. But that is definitely going to be on my list here. And I can't find Final Fantasy X, but I do own all the Final Fantasies released on the PS2, except for Dirge's Service. I don't have that one. But I have Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 and 12. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get into this list, and then we're going to throw in some honorable mentions, because there's just so many games on the PS2 that are worth mentioning, that are worth owning. There's so many great games on it. So, let's go ahead and get into the list. My number 20 spot has to go to Project Snowblind. Oh, also, by the way, throwing in here, there's going to be a few games that I mentioned that people probably wouldn't put on their list normally. But I'm going to throw in a few unique titles to make it more interesting. In fact, I'm going to take that one out because it's just not creative enough. So we'll take that one out, add that in there. I'll take Burnout as well out. We'll make it a bit more unique. This will be in the honorable mentions. So number 20 is Project Snowblind. This is a great game. It's a great first-person shooter game. It's about this guy. It's like in the military. You know, he plays him. I forget his name, but it's good. He dies apparently, but he doesn't stay dead. They revive him back to life, and then one of his arms gets some like telekinesis power or something in it. You know, and he can use it to his advantage in the game. It's a really great game. It's a really fun shooting game, and its innovative gameplay really makes it obscure, but yet fun and rewarding, and somewhat challenging too. And it's definitely not one that people really put on their list, but it is a good game. Good first-person shooter game. So I'll put it at number 20. Number 19, we have The Legend of Alan Dar, or Alan Dar. Underrated gem. I just got this game a few days ago. It's definitely underrated. It's an adventure game, action adventure game, and it's really good. And it's not expensive either. It's like $10 or $12. It's really cheap, but it's underrated hidden gem on the PS2. It's a really good game. Number 18 we have is Black. This is one that some people have talked about. It's another really good first-person shooter game that was available on PS2 and Xbox. They never ported it to the GameCube, unfortunately, but it's good. You play as some badass who's like in some secret agent service, I believe, military service. He's a secret agent, I think, but it's really good, and just go from point A to point B, just killing bad guys and getting from point A to point B. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's really good. The only thing that sucks is that if you die before the end of the chapter, you go all the way back to the beginning, I think. I hate backtracking in games. It pisses me off. You know, I hate that shit. But if you can get past that minor annoyance, then this is a really great game at its core, and it's definitely worth picking up if you have a PS2. And it's not expensive. It's a $10 to $15 game. Okay, so I just took out Burnout out of the list. So what's another game we could add to the list that's more creative? I'm gonna say uh, Kaya, Kya. That's a good game. I actually have that game on the shelf. It's good. It's a action game. It's got a little cartooniness to it, but it's a really fun game. And it's definitely worth checking out if you have a PS2. Definitely a good one. Look up some gameplay on that one. Okay, so now we're at number, let's see, 10, 20, 19, 18, 17. We're at number 16. We got Spyro, A Hero's Tale. I also like A New Beginning and Enter the Dragonfly. Sorry, I almost screwed up the title. Almost said Enter the Dragon. Sorry. Um, yeah, Enter the Dragonfly. That's a good game too, and A New Beginning. But this is also a really good platformer game for the PS2. Spyro was kicking ass when he made games on the PS1 and the PS2. Made a lot of great games on the PS2. You know, Spyro is a really fun game. Spyro was one of the first games that I played growing up as a kid, so I have nostalgia, attachment to Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and Twisted Metal because they were amongst some of the first games I actually picked up a controller and played at the age of 4 or 5 years old, something like that. You know, and it was a really good game. This is no exception. It's a great game. So now we're at number 15. I want to add one more unique game into this list, and I think that would go to this game. I have it in my stack here. Just let me get it. Bear with me a moment. It's Indigo Prophecy. Basically, you play as a serial killer in this game. You're not playing as a good guy. You play as a bad guy in this game. Of course, it's not the first time a game made you play as a bad guy. Grand Theft Auto does that too. So you play as a serial killer who is in the bathroom in the first part of the game, and he committed a murder. He stabbed somebody to death in the bathroom. You know, he has schizophrenia in his mind and stuff, and he's a very fucked up character. Um, but he kills them, and then you have to hide the body in the toilet, shut the door, clean up the mess, clean up your arms, and then get the hell out of that diner. You cover up your tracks too. You really got to cover your ass because if you don't, cops will find out and they will catch you, and then they'll arrest you. So you have to be very strategic, and you have to put things away. Like there's a part where a cop is coming to your door to investigate. You gotta take your socks and your clothes and put it in the washer. You take a shower to clean off your body from any stench or any dirty work that you've done. And you make sure that your bed is not seen because when you wake up in your bed is full of blood. So you got to cover that up. And then you get dressed, put on some clothes and everything. You only have a certain amount of time to do it. From what I played of the game, it was very good. Very creative, I'd say, for a PS2 game. It's definitely a good one to check out. And I don't think many people would put this on their list, but it is a really good interactive game. The only thing that is not good about the game is the QTE moments. Like when trying to open up the door, I tell you, that was frustrating. I hated that because there were parts in the game where you're trying to open up the door. You have to very specifically use the controller sticks to put it in the right spot so he opens up the door. Otherwise, he just shuts the door. I hated that shit. It just drove me nuts. But other than that, it was a good game. Alright, now number 14. This is a sports game, but yeah, it's a good sports game. It really is. I mean, Tony Hawk just at his prime back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was just awesome. His games were awesome. So I got to put him at number 15 or number 14. In this case, number 14. I'm being generous putting it this high. But it's a really fun skateboarding game. You go around, you collect stuff, you collect skate letters, you do tricks, you get pro score, high score, and stick score. The first level, you were in like a factory, and there was like a molten bucket you had to grind. There was this pool area you had to grind across that. Um, Later on in the game, there was a mall level in the game where you're skating around and collecting stuff. You know, they had the secret tape you gotta collect. It's just a really great game. There was a ship level in the Xbox version, I think. It wasn't in this version, but it was in the Xbox version. They added an extra level. Competition levels in this game as well, where you try to get the best score to come in first place. You got to place at least third or better to win the competition. It's a really great game, and the multiplayer in this game really added to the fun factor too. The tag, graffiti, trick attack, and horse that you could play in Tony Hawk really added to the fun factor. So it was a really good game. I like it a lot. For a sports game, this was really good. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 and Thug Series and American Wasteland were also really good Tony Hawk games. Number 13 is Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. There's also Warrior Within and the Two Towers, or Two Thrones, I mean. Those were good games as well, but this was actually the best one, I feel, out of the three. It's a really good action adventure game. You play as this prince, go through levels, you kill people with your sword, and there's some climbing elements in the game as well. It's really fun. It's really innovative. It's really good. I recommend it, and you have no reason to not pick this game up because it's only a $10 game. It's really not that expensive, and it's worth your time and your money. I think we're at number 12. Yeah, or number 11, I think. Just Cause. I put this at number 11. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're at number 11. There actually might be 21 games on this list because I added that extra game in there. So just throwing that out there. Just Cause is a good game. I think the second game really improved the Just Cause series because this game played a lot like a Grand Theft Auto ripoff. But overall, I still had a lot of fun with this game, screwing around and killing people, running people over with the vehicles and things like that, catapulting from a big 3-4 story building, and then using a parachute when going down. That was a lot of fun. Excuse me. So it's a really good first-person shooter game with action. Actually, it's more of an action-adventure game, but some people consider it a first-person shooter game because you can shoot things. But it's good. I like it a lot. Definitely worth checking out. It's also available on Xbox 360. Alright, number 10. 007 Nightfire. This was a really good game on the PS2. It had the greatest multiplayer since GoldenEye. I mean, it was perfection. That multiplayer is so much fun. I used to play that with my friend Mark Caberti all the damn time. And it was just such a blast. It's definitely a game with the multiplayer shines through. You can play it for hours. And the campaign is actually pretty good for a first-person shooter game for the PS2. It's also available on Xbox and GameCube. And you play as Pierce Brosnan's version of the James Bond. But it's good. The levels are good. The gameplay is fun. You do mission-based objectives. You save some innocent people. You kill the bad guys. Yeah, I like this game a lot. It's really good. It was the best Bond game we got on PS2. I do like Agent Under Fire. I think that one was a close second. Everything or Nothing didn't have the skills to match it, though, unfortunately. And Quantum of Solace, I played the PS3 and Wii version. I didn't play it on PS2, but I knew it was on PS2. And also on the 360 as well. And there was From Russia with Love, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It was okay, but I think this one was definitely the best. So, great game. Number 10 is Ratchet and Clank 2 Going Commando. Very good game. It's a great platformer game / third-person shooter game. You play as Ratchet, and he has a robot friend named Clank, and the two of you work together to find out what was going on, and and you fight monsters and other creatures in the game by shooting them with fake guns, plasma guns, and things like that. And you can also whack enemies with your wrench in the game. And you collect screws. You pick them up from the dead people and boxes. And there are these little orb things that you break for health. And then there are stores throughout the game that you go to get more ammunition, bolts, and things like that in the game. It's really good. I don't have number 9 here, but I'm going to throw it in here. It's Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoon. It's a very good game on the PS2. It's definitely a good one. Great platformer game. It's a lot of fun. And definitely is mentioned a lot on people's lists, but for good reasons, because it's a really good platformer game of the PS2 generation. It really is worth checking out if you have a PS2. The number 8 pick is Max Payne. I would put this at number 6 or number 7 because I really like this game. But going back to it now, I did notice that there was one major problem. That major problem is that if you die at any part of the game, you go all the way back to the beginning of the level. You cannot fast forward to cutscenes. You have to listen to the whole dialogue all over again. And after like 15 times of hearing the same dialogue for 5 minutes, that really gets on your nerves. You should have had the option to press the X button and fast forward that shit. But you can't. So you gotta listen to it again unless you mute the TV and wait 5 minutes. I hated that. But the game's great. You play as a cop who is trying to avenge the death of his wife and his kid. And it has an excellent comic book style art to the cutscenes of the game. And it's definitely fun. And eventually the cops start going after Max Payne because they think that he committed a murder against his wife and son, and that he killed some other innocent bystanders that really weren't innocent at all. They were criminals who were trying to kill him. And they succeeded in killing his family, but they weren't going to succeed in killing him. It's a really good third-person shooter game, and I definitely recommend it. If you like cop games or you like third-person shooter games, it's a really good game. I definitely recommend that. Alright, now we're number 7, I think. Star Wars Battlefront 2, really good third-person shooter game in the Star Wars franchise. It's a great game. There are 5 or 6 games on the Star Wars franchise, or Star Wars games in general, on the PS2. But this one's the best one, in my opinion. Really great game, and it's cheap. It's only about 10 to 15 bucks. The Xbox version, though, is expensive. You get the Xbox version, you got to pay about 40 or 50 bucks for that game because it was rare. A lot more rare than this version. It's also available on the PSP as well. That one's cheap too. It's just the Xbox version that's expensive. But it's definitely worth checking out and worth picking up for that price. Really great game. And you get to play as Jedis in this game, or you can play say Darth Vader in this game, which was cool. Just go around murdering innocent bystanders. It's crazy. Well, you can also play as a stormtrooper in this game too. In the campaign, you're playing as the stormtrooper. It's a really good game. I definitely recommend checking it out. Number 6. I think we're gonna see. Yep, number 6. Number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep. Okay. Didn't screw up my count. Just making sure. God of War 2. Play as Kratos, a badass with the swords. Go around murdering mythology creatures like 2-headed dragons and this chick with big boobs. Literally, there's a chick with big boobs in the game. And there's some other monsters that you fight. Mythological creatures. Beasts that you fight in the game. And, yeah, it's a really good game. You feel like a badass when you play this game, and it's good. Kratos is a pretty interesting character, and I definitely recommend it if you have a PS2. It's one of the best games on the PS2. Now, this game right here, a lot of people put in their, like, number 1 spot, but for me, it's not number 1. It cannot be number 1 because, it got repetitive, you know, it got really boring as time went on. If you're doing the same thing, you go and kill monsters, you get to a colossus, you jump on its body until you get to the head or a certain part where it has like an X on it, and you hit it a couple times in the head, you hit it in the head, and then it's dead. It's good, but it gets repetitive. It's Shadow of the Colossus. It's a really good game, but like I said, very repetitive. But that's a game that I do recommend. Just I can't put it number one, unfortunately. Number four is Devil May Cry 3. This is a great game. The first game is really good too. Second game gets a lot of hate, but I actually didn't mind the second game. I didn't think it was that bad of a game. Although I will say he jumps ridiculously high in the second game, like almost off the screen. It was crazy. But it's a game where you play it as a guy. It's like a half demon, I think. Dante, that's his name. And you just kill a bunch of demons and stuff like that in this game. Definitely proved that it could be a new IP and actually be worthwhile, because they've made 5 or 6 Devil May Cry games by now, because I mean he was innovative. Capcom did a really good job with this character, and so because of that reason he's still around to this very day. It's a great game. Great hack and slash game. Number 3 is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Very good game. I also like Metal Gear Solid 2. We'll tie that one in with this as well, because Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty is also a really good stealth game. They're both really great games. Play as a guy called Snake. You sneak around in areas, you kill bad guys, and you can't run through the levels. You can't rush. You got to take your time with it because it's a stealth game. But overall, I really enjoy this game. It's a really fun game. I never beat it, but I got very far, and I really do enjoy this game. I definitely recommend checking it out if you have a PS2. It's one of the best games ever made. Number 2 for me is really a no-brainer. There's been so many great entries over the years. After the third game on the PlayStation 1, they really upped the ante. Although Angel of Darkness was kind of crappy, but when this game came out, it really changed my opinions on Lara Croft, and that is Tomb Raider Legend. This is a great PS2 game. It's also available on Xbox 360 and Nintendo GameCube. Really great game. Great action adventure, third-person shooter game with Lara Croft. It's very innovative. It's very fun. The gameplay is fun. There are parts where you swim underwater, try to get stuff, open up treasure chests, use boxes, move boxes around throughout the game, so you can climb up the box and the other one and get onto a platform. There is swinging on ropes and vines in the game. Definitely has an Indiana Jones aspect to it, but with a female protagonist. And it really is a damn good game. I really like this game a lot. It's excellent, and definitely in my top 3, for sure. And the number 1 game on PS2, in my opinion, because it was the first time we got a game that changed the tank controls and made it an over-the-shoulder type of game. It's not really a shooting game. It does have shooting in it, but it's more of a survival horror game. It's always been a survival horror franchise. It's Resident Evil 4. This is the best game on the PS2. Who would have thought that this would have been my top 1? When I was a kid, I was not allowed to play this kind of game because it's a mature game. Same with Max Payne and a couple others that I mentioned. Was not allowed to play it, so I didn't get to experience it until my adult years because my mom doesn't restrict me anymore. But this game is really good. It's a good survival horror game. You play as Leon S. Kennedy. He's got to save the princess, or the daughter was Ashley, that's her name. He's trying to save some princess's daughter, or president's daughter, who's been kidnapped. And when he gets into the village, those human beings that were normal, they're not normal anymore. They're kind of crazy. They eat people, and they burn people alive in fires and things like that. Have pitchforks and stabbing weapons, knives, and stuff like that. And the first person you encounter in the game, you want to talk to him, but he's under some sort of spell because there was some toxic stuff that they threw in the air, turned them into crazy villagers. And the guy tries to kill him, and then he dodges out of the way in time, but is unsuccessful at killing Leon. And then Leon tells him to not come near him, but he won't listen, so he had to shoot him. The game overall is a great game. It's a great survival horror game. There's a part where a dog was actually caught in a trap. You can actually free that dog. I did do that. You meet a merchant in parts of the game and says, "What are you buying?" And you buy stuff from him. It's innovative gameplay and its scariness in the game definitely adds to the fun factor. Definitely will leave you on edge. It's definitely scary, but it is the best game on the PS2. Now for honorable mentions, we do have a bunch of honorable mentions. There's a few extras I want to throw in here. Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy X, or Final Fantasy 12 rather. Crash Twinsanity, Crash Bandicoot, what's the name of it? Crash Bandicoot of the Titans, that game. And then the other Crash Bandicoot game, Crash Nitro Kart. Burnout 3 Takedown and Burnout 4, which I have here. Burnout 4 Revenge, great game. Max Payne 2. Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. Also, the first Ratchet & Clank on PS2 is excellent. Second Sight, very good one. Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3. Time Splitters 2. I also like the first Time Splitters game, and Time Splitters Future Perfect. Excuse me, those are all really good. Cold Winter. Project Eden. ATV Off-Road Fury 2. I also like ATV Off-Road Fury 1, and I also like the third game. Fourth game wasn't really that good, but the first three were excellent. Dark Cloud. Also Dark Cloud 2. I don't own Dark Cloud 2. It's very expensive. It's like 50 or 60 bucks. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I also like Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow and Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and Double Agent. Soul Calibur 2 and Soul Calibur 3. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Oh, I think I showed that a little too quickly. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Grand Theft Auto 3. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories and Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. All great games on the PS2. Also, to add a few more games, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Killzone, Jak and Daxter Trilogy 1, 2, and 3, and also Jak X Combat Racing, Ratchet Deadlocked, Ford Racing 2 and Ford Racing 3, Corvette, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, Tony Hawk's Underground 1 and 2, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, NBA Street Volume 1, 2, and 3, NFL Street 1, 2, and 3, 007 Agent Under Fire, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, both good licensed games. And then also The Punisher for PS2, that's a good game. Tekken 5 and Tekken 4. And then also the Fatal Fury Anthology, Volume 1 and Volume 2. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. And those are all of the games that I recommend on the PS2. I'm sure there's about probably 50 more I could name. But I'll leave it at that. And that's my list. And Anthony Chobot, please don't forget to watch this video, and please don't forget to do your top 20 best PS2 games. I would greatly love to see your video response of that. And you guys, thank you for watching and take care, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And please don't forget to hit that white subscribe button. I want to get to 300 subscribers, and we're getting very close. Got 292 subs so far. I hope to get to 300 in the next couple of days. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching, and take care. God bless you. Peace.